Hello, Brovs. We're back with Triad, a novel of the supernatural by Mary Leader. And we continue with chapter 7. Savone. Somewhere. We continue with chapter 7. Embarrassing. Chapter 7. The senator did me one favor. He made it easier for me to climb down from Mount Olympus and head homeward. Valhalla had been breached. Now I knew that the trouble was in me, not the house, so it didn't matter where I was. The realization of this hammered at my mind as we sped eastward, ironing out the mountains into flat prairie land. Alan must have wondered at my unwanted quiet, but I had to try to reason out the events of the past 2 months. My thoughts offered me no escape or solution. I was harboring another person, a person whose one purpose seemed to be to destroy me. Oh God, I didn't mean to kill her. How would Alan react if I were to confide in him? Oh, I want to, my darling, but your thinking is so precise, so mathematical and pragmatic, I don't even know how to broach the subject. Alan, what is the mind? Not the usual question to come out of limbo while hurtling down a highway at 75 miles an hour. Alan didn't quite take it in. What is what? He asked, absently, taking a cigarette from his shirt pocket. I pushed in the lighter for him. The mind, I repeated, what is it? He had a reprieve while I held the lighter to his cigarette. He inhaled slowly, reflectively. Well, I prodded, the mind is, well, it's a thought, memory, our mental processes say. That's a hell of a question to ask right in the middle of Nebraska. What brought that up? Oh, I was just wondering and thinking, riding along like this with nothing to do but count the exit signs always makes me philosophical, particularly without Burma shave signs to offer a laugh every few miles. Go on, Ellen. How do you define the mind? Is it the product of the brain, or is the brain the product of the mind? He laughed. Well, I have to hand it to you, darling. You've picked a topic that should last all the way home. What got you off on this track? I was thinking about the baby, and then it occurred to me that if it already had a brain, then it must also have a mind. But the question is, which comes first? Like the chicken or the egg? Yes, but a lot more important, to paraphrase Descartes. Do we think because we have a brain, or does the brain think because it has us? Does it really matter? Very much. You see, if the mind comes first before the physical, then maybe it existed all along and will continue to exist no matter what happens to the body. Look, Branwen, Alan slapped the wheel impatiently. He hates not knowing the answers to things. I'm a civil engineer. I measure life with the slide rule, and I was never long on philosophy. If you want a so-called scientific answer, if you consider philosophy a science, then I'm Mr. Wrong. No, I don't want a scientific answer because I doubt if there is one. I want your opinion. In other words, is there an afterlife? Sure, I've asked myself that question. I'm not an atheist. I believe in a supreme being. But as for my personal survival in another world, that's another matter. Am I just one of nature's robots, sprung from a sequence of cellular developments, or am I a personality with a soul that will continue to exist after death? The first alternative insults my ego. The second insults my intelligence, almost. I don't think materialists have all the answers. I guess I take the middle road. I wouldn't want to bet on an afterlife, but I do feel that the mind or personality is something which transcends the physical. Let's say it's an intangible quantity that programs the brain as though it were a computer. I was still miles away from what I really wanted to talk about, but if I could just keep him at this, the topic might come up naturally. Where does the mind come from when a baby is born? I persisted. Are there lots of them floating around waiting for brains to be conceived so they can attach themselves to them? Now you're getting into religion. What you're talking about is the soul. Ask our pastor. Soul, mind, is there any difference? As for our pastor, would he know any more than you or I? This wasn't getting me anywhere. I had to move on in with what I was really talking about. What if a mind or soul was suddenly deprived of its body? Like when Timmy died, do you think it might try for another? We were passing a lumbering semi. I could feel the air from the truck vainly trying to suck us in. Now you're talking about reincarnation, he said. That I don't believe in at all. Not exactly reincarnation, I replied. Oh, I know it's wild, but let's just suppose that a person died, a person with tremendous willpower, and that person's mind were to will itself into another person's brain. What are you trying to do? Collect material for a science fiction novel? Good out for a coward like me. Well, something of the sort. Anyway, it could explain some so-called cases of schizophrenia, couldn't it? I took a tape cartridge out of the glove compartment. This has 8 tracks on it, I said. Two to a recording, giving you 4 musical compositions, all different from each other. Couldn't the brain be thought of as a kind of recording tape? And in that case, mightn't more than one mind record its thought processes on it? He reached his hand over and felt my forehead. Nope, no fever, he diagnosed. Must be just an acute case of pregnancy. Okay, my number 1 mind has been informing me for some time that I'm hungry. Well, number 2 mind just read that sign indicating the food stop ahead. Having fed the products of my 2 minds into my mental computer, I have decided it's time for lunch. Do you think you could put your 2 heads together long enough to accept my invitation? Alan, you're a nut. Look who's talking. I laughed, but inside I was sad. The moment had come and gone. But it was to come again. Fate was treating me better than I deserved. The hang-up was myself. We'd laid over an extra day in Omaha because Alan wanted to see a contractor there. While he was gone, I went shopping. I couldn't resist buying some baby things and a couple of maternity dresses, although I didn't need them yet. When I returned to the motel, I found Alan there, watching TV. I caught a flash of Freddie March's handsome face on the screen as I walked past Alan into the bathroom. Emerging from the shower a little later, I saw that Frederick March's face had been replaced by that of a ravening monster. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, I observed as the commercial came on. That's right, he said. I couldn't find a baseball game, so I got hooked on this instead. Want to catch the last segment? It's about this Doctor Who. I know I interrupted. I saw it last month on the Late Late Show, but I don't mind seeing it again. After Dr. Jekyll and his alter ego had been dispatched, I brought out my packages. Alan inspected the baby things, approving them with masculine reserve, then pulled another package out of my shopping bag. What's this? He wanted to know. I stared at it, trying to recollect if I had bought anything else. It was flat and square and wrapped in plain purple paper. As I ripped it open, I could feel the bevel of a frame, an oil painting of a huge black crow brooding over the nest of some smaller bird, broken eggshells lying in the straw. I looked up at Alan, helpless for an explanation. That doesn't look like your taste in art, darling, he remarked. It most certainly isn't, I exclaimed, pushing it from me in revulsion. I haven't the slightest idea where it came from. I didn't buy it. Maybe somebody put it in my shopping bag by mistake while I was trying on the dresses, or maybe I picked it up accidentally with my other packages. Branwyn the shoplifter, he teased. I'll have to take it back. What a nuisance, I moaned. I wonder if there's a sales slip in here. Did you ever see anything so ugly? Well, it's not exactly the sort of thing I'd like to see hanging in the nursery or anywhere else in the house for that matter. Are the stores open tonight? I don't know, I said, rummaging for a sales slip. I'll take it back, he offered, putting on his coat. I don't think you should run around too much. What's the name of the store? I haven't the slightest idea, I replied. There isn't any sales slip in here. What do we do with it? I shivered. I don't want it around, Alan. It's like a bad omen. Can't we just throw it away? No, it belongs to somebody. Only the artist could love it, I quipped, still searching the folds of wrapping paper for a receipt. This time I felt something. I took a quick look and let the paper fall across my hand. Maybe somebody at the motel office will know what store uses that color paper. Let me rewrap it, he said, reaching for it. I'll take it down and ask them. I pulled it back. No, I'll wrap it. I had to think of something to keep him from delivering it himself in case the motel clerk knew where the store was. But don't bother to return it yourself. You've had a long day and it's still hot outside. Besides, if it's an art gallery, it probably wouldn't be open now. The manager could call them tomorrow and tell them the package is here. That's a good idea, he assented. Yes, wasn't it? After he was gone, I went into the bathroom, opened my fists, and let the master charge slip with my signature on it drop into the toilet and flushed it down. Scary. Goodbye, bruv.